weekend's events. I do want to say happy 2019, happy new year. I know I'm a couple weeks late, but this is the first video of the year. So I hope you guys had a great new year. If you do have any resolutions or anything you want to improve on in your life, I hope that comes to fruition with you. As far as me, I, of course, the obvious, hope to be a better person, more patient, eat better, exercise more, all that typical stuff that you always hear. But as far as the channel goes, I hope to be more present, more active on social media, especially YouTube. Of course, that's my go-to as far as uploading videos and putting my content out there. So I will be, that's my goal. I will be more active on YouTube. I have a lot of different ideas and a lot of things going on up here. So I want them to come out so you guys can experience it too. Okay, so I'm rambling as always. No more rambling. Let's get right into the show. Before we get started, I do want to send out my apologies in advance for the poor lighting and the poor audio. You can probably hear that in the background, maybe. It's raining here in Los Angeles. It's really cold. It's nasty out. And of course, because of that, there's no natural light. So my lighting's set up a little differently. But anyway, as long as you can hear me, that's the important part, right? Just enough to make some money. That's all. Okay, so the picks for this weekend, I believe the event, they're calling it UFC on ESPN 1. Of course, it's the first event on ESPN. Fox is no more. So I believe they're calling it that. I think they should have kept it with the UFC Fight Night and just started counting off from there. Or they could do UFC Fight Night, for example, Henry Cejudo versus T.J Dillashaw. I don't know. But anyway, that's going to be the headliners, by the way, that we're talking about it. Henry Cejudo, T.J Dillashaw. T.J Dillashaw is the champion, of course, at bantamweight. He's coming down to flyweight. Henry Cejudo is the champion at flyweight. They're going to be battling it out. Now, the controversy on this one is that they're not sure what they're going to be doing with the 125-pound division after everything's said and done. Obviously, somebody's going to win this weekend unless it's a draw, but most likely somebody's going to win this weekend. And I think for the future in 2019, they may get rid of the division completely, which I think is a mistake. I mean, I know it doesn't bring in the type of money and it doesn't bring in the type of energy that some of the other divisions do. So maybe it's a good thing for the UFC. I don't know. I'm not here to analyze that. I don't work for the UFC, so they'll figure it out, I'm sure. But this weekend, yes, those two are going to be going at it, champion versus champion. And at the end of the day, at 125 pounds, there's going to be either a new champion or Henry Cejudo is going to defend his belt. So very excited about that one. Also, we have co-main event, newcomer Greg Hardy. If you guys are into Dana White's Contender Series, you saw him fight. I believe it was 2 fights in a row on the last season, knocked 2 fighters out. This guy's a beast, man. Ex-football, ex-NFL player, actually, at the professional level. He did have a little bit of controversy. His name was in the news. I believe it was domestic abuse. But don't quote me on that. I am on YouTube talking about another man's life, so look it up, though. There was some controversy on that, but I think his head is clear. He's really trying to transition from being an NFL player or an ex-NFL player to the big time, the UFC. I mean, you can't get any bigger than that. So kudos to him. Kudos for doing so well on Dana White's Contender Series. Again, making his debut, and he's going to be taking on Alan Crowder. He was also on the show. He has had 1 fight in the UFC. Unfortunately for him, he was knocked out, so it didn't go too well for his first fight. He was knocked out in the second round, I believe. First or second round. Either way, it was a loss on his record. Excuse me. He's going to be taking on Greg Hardy. 2 heavyweights, 2 heavy hitters going at it. Should be a great co-main event. Now, some of the other fighters on the event, we got names like Paige Van Zant's going to be on there. Donald Cerrone's going to be on there. Glover Teixeira, Joseph Benavidez, Yancy Medeiros. For the first fight, I think for a free one, and I'm going to get into what it's going to be on too because I'm kind of a little confused myself. But for the first fight, I think this is a good start for them. They have first of all, they have a title fight, number one. Then they have some bigger names on there. I know Greg Hardy's not a big name in why he's at co-main event, who knows, but I think they're doing it the right way. I think they're starting off the year right, especially being on a new network. Speaking of network, I said I was going to get into it. ESPN Plus, I don't know if you guys can comment down below. Let me know what's going on with that. I don't know. I think it should have just stayed. Everything should have just stayed on ESPN. Everybody's familiar with just regular ESPN. I'm sure there was a reason why they didn't do that. But I think they should have really pushed for that because the prelims in the middle, I believe, are on ESPN, but the main event's on ESPN Plus. It's kind of scrambled. It's a little confusing. So I'm interested to even see if I'm going to be able to watch. I don't know. It's confusing. It probably sounds confusing. I'm confused. Doesn't matter. Let's get on with the picks. Okay, so without further ado, let's take this all to the studio. I don't want you guys to miss a beat. I want you to hear everything and not rain falling, of course. Got my notes here. I'm ready to rock and roll. So let's get it. UFC on ESPN 1, Picks with Rich. Here it goes. Okay, so let's get right into my first fight. At 170 pounds, we have Belal Muhammad versus Jeff Neal. Muhammad's coming in as the underdog at a plus 145. He is 14-2 in his professional career, coming off of 4 wins in a row, which is pretty incredible for him. His last fight was back in June of 2018. To sum up Muhammad, he's a good all-around fighter. His forte is picking guys apart, getting the decision win, grinding things out. So I think that's what he's going to do with Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal's a heavy hitter, so I don't think he wants to just stand there and trade punches with him. Moving on to Jeff Neal, he is the favorite at a minus 175. He is 10-2 in his professional career, also coming off of 4 wins in a row, which is fantastic for him as well. His last fight was back in September of last year, where he beat Frank Camacho with a nasty head kick. Some of his obvious advantages are the power in his hands and feet. A lot of his wins have been by KO. So again, I think Muhammad needs to keep it moving to avoid being knocked out. Also, Neal has a slight reach advantage at 3 inches, which some people might not even count that. I do. I look at everything. But all in all, these two fighters are pretty close, but I'm leaning towards Neal to get this done. I think he's going to win by TKO KO. And the other prop is over or under 2.5. I'm going to take under 2.5 rounds, and I'm going to double up on Neal. Pretty confident in him. I'm going to risk 350 to make 200. All right, so second fight that I picked at 155 pounds, Alexander Hernandez versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Hernandez is coming in as a favorite at a minus 190. He is 10-1 in his professional career, coming off of a win against Oliver Aubin Mercier back in June of last year. He's a young guy with a great start in the organization. Some of his keys to victory, I would say his speed, his power, especially in his hands, and his aggression. Again, he's a young guy. He's only 26 years old. I think he wants to get these wins, especially against a veteran like Donald Cerrone. Get his name out there, get people talking about him, get the buzz flowing. I think that's what he's really going to be out there to do come Saturday night. Also, I don't see that he's going to look at Donald Cerrone and be intimidated by his experience. Speaking of Cerrone, he is coming in as the underdog at a plus 165. He is 34-11 in his professional career, coming off of an impressive win against Mike Perry back in November. Of course, he won by submission. Now, he's been doing okay. I know in 2017, he had a really rough year. He was up and down, losing a lot of fights, and he's not getting any younger, but it seems like he's back. So I don't know how he's going to come into this fight, if it's going to be the Donald Cerrone of old, or if it's going to be the Donald Cerrone of new, which has been pretty good. Some of his keys to victory, I feel, is that fake low to head kick. If he can implement that somehow, some way. Hernandez is very, very quick, so I'm not sure if that's going to work out, but it has been successful for Cerrone in the past. Also, maybe a downside is that he starts out very, very slow. I think he needs to scrap that. We've been saying this for years. I think he needs to scrap it. We've seen him improve over time, but I don't know if it's quite there yet. He really needs to start out quick when you're going against a young guy like Alexander Hernandez. Also, another advantage that he has is his jiu-jitsu game. Obviously, he proved it against Mike Perry. Mike Perry's no jiu-jitsu practitioner or anything, but just to get it done and the way that he did and as fast as he did, still impressive, nevertheless. Now, if Cerrone's gonna go to the mat again, he needs to commit to a takedown. Hernandez is quick on his feet. He has some decent takedown defense, so he's really got to commit. He can't do those half takedown. We've seen him do that too. He can't do the half takedown thing. He's really got to get in there and take him down. So with all that being said, I like Cerrone, of course, but I'm really on Alex Hernandez, and I think he's going to win by TKO KO. And I say it's going to go over 1.5 rounds. And I'm not going to double up or anything on him. I don't like him that much, but I'm going to risk 190 to make 100. Okay, so this is my third fight that I'm picking at 185 pounds. We have Glover Teixeira versus Carl Roberson. Teixeira's coming in as the slight favorite at a minus 130. He is 27-7 in his professional career. He's coming off of a loss to Corey Anderson back in July. Before that, he had been up and down for a good amount of time. He is 39 years old, so I don't know how much longer he's going to be fighting. I don't know what his future holds in the UFC, but a couple of his advantages definitely would be his boxing and his KO power. Even though now he's an older guy for fighting, he still can lay somebody out quick. Moving on to Carl Roberson, he is the underdog at a +100 or even. He is 7-1 in his professional career, so he doesn't have nearly as many fights or octagon experience as Teixeira, but that's okay. He's coming off of a win to Jack Marshman back in November, and he's coming off of Dana White's Contender Series. That's actually where they discovered him. He's 2-1 in the UFC, so he's really not doing bad in the UFC. Some of his keys to victory. Now, I gotta say, for a bigger guy, he is pretty damn good on the mat. He may want to take Glover Teixeira down and try to get the submission. Glover Teixeira is no joke on the mat either, so he may think twice about doing that. So I think his game plan might be either to take it to the mat, try to get that submission, or if he stands up with them, I think he's just going to try to, do the typical pick him apart. He doesn't have much punching power, especially with going up against a guy like Teixeira. But still, at the end of the day, I'm going to take Carl Roberson. I think he's going to win by decision, and I'm going to take him $100 to make $100. Okay, so this has to be the most exciting fight of the night. This is my fourth and final pick. This is the main event at 125 pounds. We have Henry Cejudo taking on T.J. Dillashaw. I cannot wait for this one, I'll tell you that. Cejudo's coming in as the underdog at a +160. He is 13-2 in his professional career, coming off of a huge upset against Demetrius Johnson back in August. He is on a 3-fight win streak, which is great for him. He's doing well. Some of his advantages would definitely be the wrestling. I mean, come on, Olympic wrestler, now in the UFC, tearing up shit, 125-pound flyweight champion. Can't get any better than that. But with that being said, also lately his stand-up, I mean, he stood up with Demetrius Johnson, and Demetrius Johnson arguably pound for pound in the world. And also he's got a good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game too, and if you mix that with the wrestling, and that's his forte obviously, he could get it done on the mat. But do not sleep on bantamweight champion T.J. Dillashaw. He's coming in as the favorite at a -200. He is 17-3 in his professional career, coming off of 4 wins in a row, including beating Cody Garbrandt twice. I think some of his advantages is definitely the striking power. I mean, we've seen it. Knocked out Cody Garbrandt. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game too. We don't see that as much out of Dillashaw. He's really a stand-up guy, but very, very curious to see if Henry Cejudo is going to try to take him down or if he's just going to stay on the feet with him. And also too, and this is overlooked sometimes, and even right now I just overlooked it, but if Henry Cejudo, as good of a wrestler that he is, he does need to close in the distance. So, and with T.J. Dillashaw, he's got a great takedown defense. I got to say that. Now, he hasn't been up against Henry Cejudo, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out for him, but at least he does have that advantage, unlike some other fighters. So very excited about this one, guys. This is a great matchup. Again, T.J. Dillashaw's coming down from 135 pounds to 125. A lot of controversy just in the division alone. We're hearing rumors that this year even they may close out the division completely. I think a lot has to do with this fight here and seeing if a fighter can really carry the division and make it exciting for fans to want to sit down and watch. Anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to take T.J. Dillashaw. I think he's going to win by decision, and I'm going to risk 220 to make 100 on him. And this time around, guys, I have no parlays. I have no prop bets. I gave you the prop bets. If you want to place them, if you're a prop bet guy, go ahead. I'm usually a parlay guy, and I love my parlays, but this time around, I just didn't see the need to do that. There were some other fighters, and I experienced this last time I did the show. There were some other fighters that I wanted to go with, but just them being in the 4s and the 500s as favorites, it's just too much of a risk to make such a little profit. So if I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to tell you guys or recommend that you should do it. So those are my 4 fighters. I hope they all win, but even more than that, I hope it's going to be a great fight night. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my picks for this weekend's event. UFC on ESPN 1, UFC Fight Night on ESPN, UFC on ESPN, whatever the hell they're going to be calling it. Those are my picks. If you guys have anything different or agree, please comment down below. Let me know if you think I'm full of shit or you think I'm going to lose all my money. Please let me know down below, and I would love to hear it. Good, bad, doesn't really matter. And remember, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video if you enjoyed it, And remember to share too. That's very important. That helps the channel out. So anyway, that's all I got, guys. Enjoy the fights this weekend. As always, until next time, Rant and Rich here, signing out from sunny SoCal. I'm out of here. Latest.